Welcome back once again. Another episode. The Fantasy Simpletons, a fantasy football show. I am your host, Kyle Fridland, joined with me by my brother and co-host, Jacob Fridland. Let's pause that real quick. Yeah, what up? We are continuing our war, our battle, to cover all of the AFC. We have already covered the East. We have already covered the North. Now it is time to cover the South.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to kick this into second gear. We are talking about the Houston Texans first. And now when it comes to the Texans, there's a lot to talk about. I think it's important to talk about the most recent news with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is going to be injured. He's going to be out for several weeks. I don't know necessarily what the timetable is, if it's just going to be missing one or two games early in the season, or if it's going to carry further in. How do you think this affects the stock of Joe Mixon, as well as someone like Nick Chubb or other running backs?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it could be... I think it's too early to tell how this will affect the fantasy season, because he could be fine going into the season, right? But it's good that they have Nick Chubb. I think he could be really interesting to watch, right?
Yeah.
This
Especially
season.
another year removed off that horrible knee injury.
Exactly. And he's just a great player. So then there's Woody Marks.
Fourth round rookie,
yep. Out of USC, and he's primarily a passing back. So he could be fun to watch too. And he kind of fills that Joe Mixon role a little bit more than Nick Chubb does. Just being a natural pass catcher like Joe. So I don't know. My thoughts are that Joe will be fine start of the season, but if he's not, it should be an interesting mix of the other two guys.
I want to try to put it on Nick Chubb. I think coming a year off that injury, I think he'll be a little better. I think it's a little unfair to say if he's like truly past his prime yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to try to see what he looks like now under this Houston Texans team, even if their offensive line is very questionable at the moment, which I think should go interestingly for CJ Stroud. When we talk about CJ Stroud, he was one of the most hyped up quarterbacks last season. He was supposed to be seen as like one of the best pure passing quarterbacks with all the weapons that he had. In reality, it didn't happen. He didn't have a great season. He was barely...
Everybody, this guy is a great big phony!
He is a great big phony. And I got to make sure to turn that up at some points. But he was a middling quarterback, below average. And I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line. And I don't think the offensive line is better. Do you think it will be better for this season for CJ Stroud?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they're trying to fix that. I know they have more weapons in the receiving core, right? With the two rookies that they drafted.
Yeah.
And I think that could help. They also have Christian Kirk now, so I think they're great compliments to for CJ and Nico. But yeah, if they haven't fixed their offensive line, I'm not sure it will be better, but at least he has more guys to dump it off to. So
at the very least now it seems like the expectations are meeting where he's being drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're not really risking too much if you draft him where he is, which is, I believe, QB 17, which is kind of where he should be after last season.
Yeah.
Considering not too much has changed. I think the receivers are a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And unless some people haven't known yet, Tank Dell, his injury that he got last season will keep him out for the remainder of the 2025 season. Very unfortunate. But this was a team that last season, when Stephon Diggs was still there, they wanted to have as good of a passing game as they possibly can. Stephon Diggs did super well before he got hurt. Injuries really derailed the whole wide receiver core. I think Nico Collins is going to be great. I think he's going to be a top 10, maybe even has the ability to be a top 5 wide receiver this year. And the two boys coming out of the same college, they drafted a 2nd rounder and a 3rd rounder in Higgins and Knoll. And Knoll he's a little bit more, I'm still trying to figure out what he's going to be. But Higgins has seemed to slot in perfectly as like on the outside, on the other side of Nico Collins as the wide receiver too. And I think he's going to be one of the most underrated values in fantasy football this year. Yeah.
He's looking really good in training camp, and he did well in OTAs. So I think there's it's a possibility he could, he could be a great fantasy asset. And I don't know, I think Christian Kirk is interesting to watch too, because he was fairly productive on Jacksonville, and now coming to the Texans. He kind of has that veteran status, I guess, over Jaden and Jalen. So I think it could be interesting to watch him. He could be a nice stash.
I'm a big Christian Kirk fan. I think he'll do a lot better than people realize he will.
Yeah.
I think the drafting of the 2 later receivers kind of like made people forget about him.
Totally.
But he's a very consistent, reliable receiver. And if anything, I think he's more likely to be the wide receiver 3 rather than Jalen Knoll. He seems like their slot guy.
Oh, yeah. For sure. He's a sleeper.
Yeah. I mean, and as far as that, I mean, Dalton Schultz is there, but they didn't really utilize him a lot last season. I don't think anything's going to really change.
Yeah.
Every team you're going to see, like there are a few teams that are just, they don't really use their tight end that much. And I think this is one of those teams.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's a great tight end.
Yeah.
He's a veteran, been around, and he'll catch anything you throw at him. But yeah, I don't think this is a team that puts high value on the tight end position. And Dalton Schultz gets hurt, sometimes. So
yeah, he does get hurt. I think it's a team that hopefully can capitalize on some promise that they're starting to get as a really, maybe not up and rising, but they're starting to reach that, like, they're a divisional round type of team. And we can see how they carry that into the season.
Yeah.
Now we move on to a team that's in a QB battle. Another QB battle here. We got the Indianapolis Colts. The thing that sticks out in my mind is I'm worried for Anthony Richardson. It doesn't seem like he's winning out. I don't know if he's going to win out this job.
He's winning in camp now. So
he's winning in camp now. That's the current report.
That's the current report. It was Daniel Jones for a second there in OTAs, but in training camp, Anthony Richardson is looking like he should be the QB1. And that could easily change, given not sure if he's going to play in preseason, not really sure what's going to happen with all that. But as of right now, yeah, there's a lot of talks that he's probably going to start the season as the guy.
I don't know if that's a good idea for the team personally, because if it gets to a point where you start him early in the season and he's not looking good, and you have to put in Daniel Jones over him, you can't go back. It's weird. I honestly think him being the starter going into the season might somehow hurt him more than Daniel Jones. Because at least then, if Daniel Jones is taken out for Richardson, there could be a little bit of excitement of like, okay, we're bringing back Anthony Richardson. If you take Anthony Richardson out this season, you're telling your whole fan base that this guy was a flop. This guy did not work out.
Everybody do the flop.
Complete and utter flop. And you're not selling your fans very well. Fantasy wise, he's inconsistent. He's the most inconsistent player you can have.
Yeah.
He could do great. He could do awful. There's no real in between. And Daniel Jones is, I found this earlier. If there's like one sound effect that I could use to describe Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. He's just bland. He's vanilla.
Don't be sorry, bro.
He's a human. He's a human being, but
he's laughable. I mean, come on.
He is. I mean, look at his face.
I mean, that's a little messed up, but
that's a little messed up. Yeah.
he's just not the guy, bro. And it's funny that they think he can be on the Colts, and I guess we never really know because he could be like a Sam Darnold situation, a Geno Smith situation, but I think it's too early, man. He was just on the Giants, and last season, and he sucked, and he sucked the year before that, and I just think that it could go downhill fast if they choose him to be the guy over Anthony. I personally like Anthony better just because he has that rushing upside. He's a physical freak. He just needs to be more consistent. Yeah, he's just super athletic, and there's so much more upside to him. I don't see the pull for Daniel Jones. Like, it's just, it's frustrating, man. I would be so frustrated if I were a Colts fan this year. Like,
yeah. And we know a couple Colts fans.
Oh yeah, we do. We have some
that are definitely a little frustrated.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I don't know. The Colts, it's going to be sad to watch, but too early to tell. Never really know. Yeah. They added some weapons that we can talk about.
If we want to talk about adding weapons,
let's do it.
Bringing some excitement to let's be honest, a vanilla group of wide receivers. We got Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
I loved watching him, his highlights, what he can do in college. I love this idea of him can be kind of anything that you want him to be. He was taking snaps as a running back, running the ball behind the line, taking snaps at QB, send him for trick plays. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with a player like this.
Yeah.
And obviously for the right draft price, but if you can get him in later rounds, I think he's worth taking a chance on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think especially with this, with the wide receiver core they have here, like Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs are fine. There's nothing really special about them. I like Josh Downs' upside. He's more of a flashy player to me than Michael Pittman, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just the Colts have never really had a tight end from what I can remember. Like,
they never really did.
No, and they've never really utilized one. So I think for Tyler Warren, being the number one draft prospect for tight ends, coming to this team, it could be great for them. And I don't see him failing unless they just don't utilize him, and they wouldn't have drafted him that high if they don't want to utilize him. So yeah, I foresee him being like, if not the number one target on the team, the number two next to Downs or Pittman.
Yeah. I think Downs you can definitely
Yeah.
take. He's very, very low in drafts right now. I think he's well worth what you can get him for. Not knowing exactly what his ceiling could be, but I like him as a player. Alec Pierce is there. He's a long bomber. He only has use if Anthony Richardson is on the field. Anthony Richardson got him almost all of his touchdowns last year. They were almost all big, deep passes. That's his usage. It relies solely on Anthony Richardson. If it's Daniel Jones, he's not getting it.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think he's very fantasy relevant.
He has a role for the team and he adds depth, but for fantasy, you take what you can get. And then you kind of finish it out with Jonathan Taylor. If healthy, he'll be top 10.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about him. If he's not healthy, someone like DJ Giddens is very exciting as a nice little rookie. I know Khalil Herbert is there too, but Khalil Herbert's kind of been bouncing around from team to team to team. Giddens has a chance to take the opportunity if it presents itself.
Yeah. Very young prospect. Produced a lot in college, so could definitely step in there if needed. But definitely Jonathan Taylor, top tier dynasty, top tier fantasy asset in general. So definitely good to have, but you want to have his handcuff just in case.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you are a Colts fan this season, hold on for dear life. That you're gonna need it for this year. It might work. There's a chance it could all go downhill very, very quickly. But
it'll be.
We're gonna move on to another team now, and I want to talk about one of the most exciting players I've been meaning to talk about since we started this. We're moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to talk about Travis Hunter. It's very rare in the NFL where we see a unicorn type of player, one that sort of breaks our perception of what we have seen in football, and this idea of a player that can play both wide receiver and cornerback on both sides of the ball is so interesting and exciting from a football perspective. From a fantasy perspective, how is this going to work?
Yeah. And no, exactly. I think it's all about how they utilize him, right? And more recently, I've heard that he's been in more of a DB type role in training camp.
Slightly more defensive snaps
Slightly
right
leaning, towards defensive stuff. And I think that makes sense because they have a number one.
Yeah.
Debatably the rookie of the year, right?
Brian Thomas Jr. was incredible at the end of last season.
So good. So good. And so they don't necessarily need Travis Hunter. I think he would help out a lot, right? But yeah, from a fantasy perspective, if he's splitting time between wide receiver and DB, it's going to be tough for him to have that kind of fantasy relevancy.
Yeah.
I think he's a great stash, but honestly, I think he's going too high in drafts for me. And I think I'd rather have other players just because of that unknown.
I think a lot of people, what they're not talking about with Travis Hunter is you have to follow a lot of what's happening on this team to really understand what might happen with Travis Hunter. Because they might go into the season with a plan of like, oh, we're going to use him on offense this many times, and we're going to use him on defense here and there. Plans are going to change all the time. All of a sudden, what if you start getting injuries at cornerback? Are you going to rely more on him to be a cornerback? What if he's more likely to get injured? I mean, that's one of my biggest fears is that he could get injured playing as much as he does. And once he comes back, is it like, oh, maybe we want to move him more towards one side of the ball to rest him up a little bit and maybe lean a bit away from the two-sided? Does an injury to Brian Thomas Jr. change up and they want to start using him more on offense? That could be a position where you could see him as a genuine wide receiver 2, or maybe even a wide receiver 1, because he has that talent.
Mhm.
So he's one of the players, when you draft him, you got to be paying attention. You got to know what's happening with them every week, because it's going to change. I think it's going to change week to week.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He's just someone you have to stay on top of, and just kind of see how the season plays out. But on another note, De'Ami Brown is there too. You know, transferred from Washington. And is
I like
there.
De'Ami Brown.
Dude, yeah, I'm a fan. I was a fan when he was in Washington. I think he was underutilized, and it's a bit of a crowded receiving room here, with Brian and Travis, but I think he could still make some plays,
Yeah.
depending on how much Travis is used in the offense. I think Diami could come in here and, be potentially a decent flex play, man, if they utilize him right. He was a second round pick a few years back, so he's got the talent.
Yeah. We see these as, I mean, you see it as 3 wide receivers on the screen. It could be 2.5. Like, so the way you look at it is De'Ami Brown, and he has a real shot. He has a 1-year deal, so he has a real chance to like show what he can do.
Mhm.
And if we're gonna round this out, we have to talk about Bretton Strange. As he seems like an option that a lot of people are into as a under the radar, low value, like take a chance on him tight end. Personally, I remember him a lot because I had Evan Ingram, and Evan Ingram got injured a lot last season. And when he came in, wasn't bad. And if they use him in a similar way to where they did with Ingram beforehand, I could see some value for him. He could be a possible starting tight end this year.
Oh yeah, I agree. I like Evan Ingram's usage was pretty good. He was a startable tight end on the Jaguars. So I think Brendan Strange jumping in here, showing, what he could do last year when Evan went down. And then the team keeping him and making them his starting tight end, I think that shows a lot. And I'm excited for that guy. I think he's a sleeper. I think you could get him in deep. You could get him in later rounds for sure. He's a lower ranked tight end prospect, and yeah, I think you could really be surprised with what this guy does. So I'm in on Brendan.
I think I might be in on him too. I depends. It depends on who I have on my team already. He's one of those players, like, if I feel a little weak at tight end, like I'll be looking at him. But we also have the Jaguars running backs as well. And you know what, Jake? You have a little bit of experience with the Jaguars running backs. Why don't you take this one?
Yeah, I do. I actually have all 3 of them in our family league. So yeah, it's interesting.
How you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just tough because Travis is good. Okay, Travis was the guy for a long time. I mean, for a few years. He was the dude, since he got drafted a couple years back. And last year, he just wasn't producing, right, to the same output as he was previous years. So that's why Tank Bigsby kind of stepped up and kind of split that role with him. And neither one of them really did that that great last year. It was a very split, interesting year. Tank kind of doing a bit more than Travis at times, right? But not enough to be looked at as the starter moving forward. So it's very much a split backfield, you know?
Yeah.
And then Bayshell Tootin was drafted this year.
People loved him at the combine.
Yeah,
He looked
fastest,
super explosive, super fast.
super fast. One of the fastest RBs in the combine. And I don't know. So it's pretty much a split competition. In training camp, it looks like Tank is looking good, but I've also seen stuff on Travis, taking a step up this year. And you never know what could happen with Bayshell Tootin, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, last year it was muddied backfield and like a gross muddy, like a thick thing of mud was this backfield. And you can only hope that there's a bit more clarity with a new coach as the season goes on.
Yeah. But I was going to say, personally, I'm high on Tank. I'm high on Tank just because when he was utilized last year, he made some big runs. And
I did see he made some big plays. I can give him credit for that.
His yards per carry was it was nice. It was better than Travis's. And that's why he's like even in contention right now. So yeah. I wouldn't draft any of them. They're all risky picks. So they're definitely stashes. I would stash Tank. Travis is going a little bit higher than Tank. So if you want to take that risk, you can.
Yeah.
And Bayshell's, below them. So
I think it's worth taking the risk if it's because they're going really low. Like everybody's kind of out on them after last season. So I think it's low enough to where it's, if you can take a chance. I think it's possible.
Sure.
We got to get to the next team here. I guess I'll just very quickly mention Trevor Lawrence. This is a prove it year for me. If he really is that, as far as fantasy wise, if he can be that guy, like a higher end top 10 QB, this is the season to do it. If he can't, then he's just going to fall into a position and not move out of there for me.
Yeah.
As like maybe a QB2.
I'm with you.
But as far as that, I could talk about this team forever because I love everything they got going on. With the Titans, it's a little different. I'm not against the Titans. I'm just not exactly over the moon about them. I don't know what to be excited about this season.
Yeah.
If you can look at this depth chart, what stands out to you right away?
I mean, Cam Ward is a given, right?
Yeah.
Number one pick in the draft. Okay. Right. Best QB available. Yeah. So I think and he looks good. Training camp and OTAs, he's putting on a show.
I've seen some highlights.
Yeah, and everyone's saying good things about him, right? What were you going to say?
Oh no. Maybe it's just this one thing of this could be egg on my face because the last couple of years we've had CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels. We've had a lot of rookie quarterbacks come in and immediately make their team a lot better. Maybe Cam Ward might be the same way, but he's very much a wait and see. Like he feels like he could be a much lighter version of what Jaden Daniels was last year. But to me, that feels like the best case scenario.
Yeah, that's a good. Oh, for sure, best case scenario. But I like that comparison. because he definitely seems to be the most standout rookie
Yeah.
quarterback. And yeah, and the receivers seem to think so too. Like I saw something on Calvin Ridley talking about like just how accurate Cam Ward is and how he
Yeah.
is just really excited for the season, and coming from a veteran wideout, that's
Man,
pretty
that makes
big.
you feel bad if you're Will Levis. That makes you. He did not like Will Levis. Man, the team really hated Will Levis, didn't they?
Oh, they
I don't
really
think he's a
did.
bad person, but man, the coach was talking crap about him. The Calvin Ridley didn't like playing with him.
Yeah. And I kind of liked Will Levis, like as a football player. I thought he looked decent on the field, but
I liked his personality. I was not a big fan of his play, and I don't think the team was a big fan of his play either.
yeah.
I think with the receivers, outside of Calvin Ridley's going to be like a good veteran option. I think really because he's the only standout option right
Mhm.
now. Because the other one is Tyler Lockett, who we've known Tyler Lockett for a long time. As a Seahawks fan, I can tell you, I think he's near the end of his career. He's
Yeah.
definitely a shell of what he once was. This feels like a move that the Titans have done before with veteran receivers in the past, like DeAndre Hopkins, where they just bring in a veteran and be like, okay, big name value. But I don't think he's going to provide much outside of a few, maybe like 2 or 3 plays a game.
Mhm.
And even all the other receivers, there's a lot of rookie receivers on this team. But even they're a bit muddy right now because a lot of them are late round picks or undrafted free agents. So it's a bit too early to tell if any one of them could step out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's it's a very outside of Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett, it's a very young receiving room, with 2 rookies that they drafted, and anything could happen with those guys. Um, they weren't the cream of the crop wide receiver selections, but um, that they could do something. Shamir Dyke and Alec Aminwar.
Isn't
So
Restrepo there too?
and Restrepo, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, he was undrafted. So
complete undrafted. Yep.
yeah, pretty interesting. Anything could happen, but for sure these veterans, Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett will have their roles, and I think that's good for the rookies, to
Yeah.
have those veterans kind of show them the ropes. But anything could happen in this wide receiver core. I like Alec Aminwar a little bit personally. I think he's a sleeper. He had some standout games against uh Travis Hunter.
Ooh,
When Alec was at
that's a nice little
Stanford.
call out.
Yeah, so
Maybe we'll
but
see that matchup again.
maybe we will. But yeah, you never know. So um yeah. And then for tight ends, I like Chig Okonkwo. I think he's I think he's good. He kind of had a breakout last year. What do you think?
He what I think breakout's a little strong. Not that he
Mhm.
didn't play well. I think it's like a very quiet. I think it
That's
was too
true.
quiet for it to be like seen as a breakout.
It was very end of season, like he had a couple good games.
Yeah. I mean, we
But
talk about flying under the radar. He could be in a lacking wide receiver group. Maybe this rookie quarterback's going to need someone he can throw the ball to in short field.
Mhm.
I think Chigakonkwo could be a very interesting name to keep your eye on. Because
Yeah,
I don't think
definitely.
he's going to get drafted too much. At least not early on. His name's not big enough.
No. No,
So I think that's interesting.
yeah, I think he's around the Brendan Strange, a little bit lower
Yeah.
than Brendan Strange, and That's pretty low, but definitely interesting with with Cam Ward coming in and kind of a whole new youngish offense. Could be good.
And outside of that, it's mostly same as before. Running back group will look to be pretty much the same as it was last year. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. Expect mostly the same production, kind of 50-50, maybe a little bit more Tony Pollard. Maybe this season, because he's year 3 in, maybe they'll give a little bit more to Spears. But they're lower end running backs that I think will be more of like flex players that you can look at.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like Tony Pollard. I think he's a great goal line touchdown guy. Tajay being the pass catching back, speedy, shifty. But yeah, I think it'll be split, but more for Tony, just because he's kind of
He's already established.
he's established, yeah, and he's good when he plays. I like Tony,
Yeah.
when he's in, but definitely a lower round running back to draft. But for the value for where you could get him at, I think he's a good pickup.
I think that's everything that needs to be said about the Titans right now. They're a young team. We're going to see how they develop as the season goes along, in what is ultimately a division that is always been a little tough to predict for certain teams. But that's about as far as we can take it with the division these days. We've already done AFC East and we've done the AFC North. Yep. Make sure to check out some of the other videos as well as the AFC West that will be posted as well. And until next time, continue being a simpleton. I'm just going to keep trying catchphrases at the end until we find one. Every video. How about that? Every video, new catchphrase.
Yeah.
Now let's make it happen.
Dude,
until
we're just
next
a couple
time.
of simpletons, man.
Yeah.
That's who we are.
We're just a couple of simpletons making it happen. So until next time.
Yep.